And finally, for the moment, to speak for the motion, the third speaker is Ed Smith. Ed's a former England cricketer, but he's an accomplished author and leader writer at The Times. And he has written 3 books, most recently, What Sport Tells Us About Life. Ed.
Thanks very much for coming this evening. I thought that as someone who's recently retired from county cricket that I wouldn't feel terribly nervous standing up here this evening. But of course, county cricket is the only form of professional sportsman who actually retires and he sees more people at work the next day. Because at county cricket normally there are sort of 3 people falling asleep reading the obituary from the Telegraph, wondering when it's going to be their turn. So I'm delighted to see so many people here tonight. How can we go about deciding if football is a beautiful game? Well, we know what football looks like, but do we know what beauty is? I'm not a classical scholar, but I do know that our sense of beauty comes from the classical world. Plato thought that measure and proportion manifest themselves in all areas of beauty. Aristotle argued that beauty depended on order, symmetry, and clarity. Cicero wrote there are 2 types of beauty: loveliness and dignity. And in front of the temple at Delphi is carved the simple statement, nothing in excess. How does football fare against the ideal of classical beauty? Something measured, something ordered, something symmetrical, something fair. Well, football is not balanced. Football is not in proportion. Football is certainly not dignified, and football is wildly in excess. And that is why football can no longer be called the beautiful game. Let's take the question of balance first. Is football a balanced, fair playing field? It's far from it. The playing field is massively tilted towards the rich. In 1995, Blackburn Rovers won the Premiership. Here is the list of winners since then. Manchester United, Manchester United, Arsenal, Manchester United, Manchester United, Manchester United, Arsenal, Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester United, Manchester United, and wait for it, Chelsea or Manchester United. Apologies, I may have got some of those mixed up. Excessive repetition sometimes causes you to blur, but you get the point. It is 15 years, ladies and gentlemen, 15 years since anyone won English football's top prize that wasn't called Chelsea, Manchester United, or Arsenal. 15 years ago, the top of the charts was Meatloaf, Tina Turner, and U2. You can check my footnotes by digging out the copies that I'm sure you've all got of Now That's What I Call Music 1995. It's 7 years since anyone broke up the duopoly of just Manchester United and Chelsea. 7 years is a long time. Ian Duncan Smith was leader of the Conservative Party. Roger Federer, who's won 16 Grand Slam tournaments, won his first 7 years ago. And I blush to relate that it was so long ago that even I was playing for the England cricket team. The Premiership, on the other hand, hasn't budged an inch. It's the same old show. Manchester United and Chelsea still there, blocking out all the others. The Premiership's not a sports league, ladies and gentlemen. It's a boat race. What is it that has enabled Chelsea and Manchester United, and to a lesser extent Arsenal, to dominate so completely? What mystery ingredient do they have that every other team lacks? I can exclusively reveal it this evening. Cash. Lots and lots of cash. Rich clubs win, poor clubs don't. You think life isn't that simple, but in football it is. The top 3 wage bills, in order: Chelsea, Manchester United, Arsenal. And the table? Chelsea, Manchester United, Arsenal. The economist Stefan Szymanski studied the correlation between wages on one hand and league position on the other. He found that spending accounted for 89% of variation in league position. So winning is either down to a giant sugar daddy, a Roman Abramovich figure, or to debt. Winning the old Division 1 used to mean you were the best team in England. Winning the Premiership means you owe someone £500 million. Football's burden of debt, far from exemplifying Aristotle's golden mean, is looking worryingly red. English football owes over £3 billion, and even Manchester United, who make more money than anyone, need £500 million to refinance the £700 million of debt that was loaded onto them by their American owners. Football's finances aren't beautiful, they're terrifying. So much for Aristotle's idea of beauty as proportion. How about the Platonic ideal of moderation and taking nothing to excess? Football, in contrast, has taken over the sporting world. Rolling Stone magazine recently described Goldman Sachs as a vast vampire squid wrapped around the face of humanity. The metaphor aptly describes football's influence on the sporting world. Do you remember the days when the sporting calendar guided us through the 4 seasons, helping us to feel excited about every stage of the year? The wonderful smell of freshly cut grass we can smell this evening told us that the county cricket season was coming. Autumn leaves, bonfires, and the drawing in of the nights heralded the start of the football season. And the last frosts and gales of winter were warmed by log fires and the Six Nations rugby tournament. Sport gave us a secular liturgical calendar that helped us through the year. Now, instead of 4 seasons, we have 1 season, the football season. It's air-conditioned, climate-controlled, LG-sponsored, offshore bank account-backed, perma-tanned world of corporate football. Football no longer belongs to a season. It's too big for that, too important for that, too religious for that. It is spread-eagled across them all, like a hubristic Greek hero about to meet his nemesis. So football has failed both Plato and Aristotle's definition of beauty. How about Cicero's? Beauty as dignity. It is on this point that I feel confident I can rely on the intelligence of all of you. Dignity, we can all agree, is not football's natural strength. There is little dignity in handling the ball into the net, as Thierry Henry did. Little dignity in diving for a penalty, as they all do. Dignity in John Terry. The phrase does not trip off the tongue. There is little dignity in abusing the referee, or bullying him into giving a yellow card, or swamping the linesman. Football demonstrates the worst excesses of professionalism and entitlement. I try, ergo I deserve. Life, we all know, isn't like that. There is one very important caveat to everything I've said, and in this area I may differ with everyone else this evening, on my side. Football may be more beautiful than ever in purely aesthetic terms. The athleticism of the players touches ballet. The passing of Barcelona or Arsenal can be majestic. The modern game's movement and speed is dazzling. Even the blank canvas, the pitch itself, has never been so perfectly taut and smooth. So modern football, I must concede, gives us many beautiful moments. A Messi goal, a Fabregas pass, a Barcelona attack, sweeping across the field like synchronized red arrows. I thrill to them all, and life would be much diminished without them. I am not anti-football. I'm passionately pro-football, and that is why I want football to reform itself while it still can. Real beauty is about character, not just pretty boy looks. Real beauty, we all know, is more than just skin deep. One beautiful game, a beautiful game, quite possibly. The beautiful game, you must be having a laugh.